Garden. I'm Len Schroeder.
And I'm Julio Zamora.
Joe called the Bloomers in the Garden hotline and asked when to plant his garden. Hear all about it in our first segment.
Joe gets some good news during our next segment. Fall vegetable seedlings have arrived. Yes, we'll tell you how to install a vegetable garden in our second segment.
I've teased Julio about his Zoysia lawn regularly on the show. This week, listener Maureen asked a question about her own Zoysia lawn. We'll consult Julio Zoysia Zamora, the Zoysia man, during our third segment.
We received a call from a listener to the Bloomers in the Garden hotline who has predatory weed engulfing her daylilies. Oh, my goodness. Hear all about it during our fourth segment.
What's bugging you? I had this giant insect fly into me the other day, right in the middle of my chest. It felt like a bullet. Lo and behold, what was a stupid insect that bugging me? It was a spotted lanternfly, full grown, adult. They're here. Oh, brother, here we go again. Hear what you need to do in our final segment.
So stay tuned, and we'll be right back in the garden right after these messages. Bloomers in the Garden is brought to you each week by Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Bloomers is an award-winning garden center just 20 minutes from Philadelphia. Bloomers has been providing expert advice turning brown thumbs green for over 30 years. At Bloomers, we want you to ask us every question, even if you think it's silly. We share information in a friendly, non-judgmental way that is meant to teach and spread the joy of gardening. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center in Washington Township, Gloucester County. For directions, go to bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden.
Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden.
Fertilome's Triple Action contains 70% neem oil and 0.25% pyrethrins as a concentrate and ready to spray. It is an insecticide, fungicide, and miticide labeled to use on vegetables, fruits, nuts, herbs, spices, and ornamentals. This organic OMRI-listed product controls a wide variety of insect pests and diseases, including aphids, scale, spider mites, whiteflies, rust, leaf spot, and powdery mildew. This insecticide is an all-in-one bottle that will cure just about any problem you may run into throughout the year. Fertilome's Triple Action has been helping gardeners across the country for years. Best to apply in late evening and early morning hours. Mix 1 ounce, which is equivalent to 2 tablespoons in a gallon of water. The best part is Triple Action may be used up to the day of harvest. So, the next time you are visiting your favorite garden center, ask for Fertilome's Triple Action and expect to have the best-looking plants in the neighborhood.
You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 a.m. WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden.
Welcome, everybody, to Bloomers in the Garden. What a great day, huh, Len?
It is.
Yep. Joe called the Bloomers in the Garden hotline and took a trip down memory lane, yes, to when his parents planted their garden. Listen to his call.
Hi, sir. When's the best time to plant tomatoes with the stem, that the tomatoes come off the stem? The best time of year? I didn't know. I haven't planted them since my parents passed on like years ago. I used to dig up a garden in their backyard for tomatoes, peppers, and we had a stem on for a plant stick. And I'm just wondering, when's the best time to plant tomatoes that they come off the stem of the vine? Thank you very much, sir. Have a nice day.
He said sir a lot. He must be talking to you.
Really?
But, everybody is harvesting their summer vegetables, peppers and tomatoes and squash and eggplant. And everybody gets excited. They say, oh, wow, I want to do that. Sure. And John's like so many others that this time of the year, actually, Aaron and I were talking about customers that come in this time of the year and people that are interested in gardening, that they're inspired by what they see going on in their neighbor's yard, but they don't really know exactly what they should be doing. Mm-hmm. So the key to planting, let's go back into your parents' garden. They were planting those tomatoes by May 5th. May 15th would be the earliest that I would plant them without protection. Now, this is another hint to continue to listen to this show because we have a couple of ways to cheat on that, but it has to do with where the full moon is and other things else, which we're not going to get into now. But May 15th is when you want to plant those tomatoes. And I know exactly what you're talking about when you're calling them stems or stakes. Tomatoes can get as much as this is in pots, for instance. Like we had some tomatoes that we left hanging around because some people lost them, broke them, stepped on them, and just wanted to try to plant something else. And we had some tomatoes, and the stems on the tomatoes were probably anywhere between probably a half an inch, half an inch diameter. Yeah. And they get bumps on the stems. And those bumps, everywhere you see those white little bumps, that's a root that wants to start growing. And that when you plant tomatoes really late, you've got to use that stem, stick, whatever you'd like to call it, and not plant them so much deep, but you can plant them and in a furrow on long ways. So it could be actually you're taking a foot of that stem and putting it underground and then bending that tomato up. Did I ever tell you about at the farm, right, we would sell tomatoes, plants, individually. That we had cold frames, and we would start these tomatoes in early spring, and that they would be under glass. And this is a throwback, and that where we used to dig those tomatoes out of the cold frame, bring them up, have newspaper, throw a palm of wet peat moss on the roots, wrap them up, and sell the plants. And I can remember they were anywhere from, I got paid minimum wage at $2 and something. Agricultural wage. Oh, boy. Actually, it's agricultural wage. Yeah, my parents. Hey,
you're getting hungry.
Yeah, they
that's right. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm rebuilding my deck, right? All the nails that I feel guilty because my father used to make us take the nails out of wood, right, to save the nails to use later.
No.
Anyway, so that being said, the tomatoes that we would sell could be as tall as 2 foot.
Wow.
So I think I know where Joe is coming from. Again, if you do it, May 15th is a frost-free date, but there's still time to plant. And that we're going to talk more about planting a fall vegetable garden in our next segment. So, Joe, hang in there. Yeah, we'll be right back in our next segment, Planting a Fall Garden, right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880, and we'll see you in the garden. Coast of Maine's Organic Castine Blend Organic Raised Bed Mix is the best soil for raised bed gardens, planter boxes, and container gardens. It grows amazing vegetables. It is made with a mixture of manure compost, worm castings, lobster and kelp meal, mycorrhiza, green sand, and biochar. It's ready to use straight out of the bag with no need for additional components or tilling. If you love growing fresh and hearty vegetables, herbs, and flowers, Coast of Maine's Castine Blend Organic Raised Bed Mix is the perfect choice for you. At Coast of Maine, we believe in growing organically and buying locally. Castine Organic Raised Bed Mix can be found at these fine stores.
Pickering Valley Feed and Farm, Exton, Pennsylvania. Ashcombe Farm and Greenhouses, Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Tony's Farm and Garden, Windsor, New Jersey.
Is she gone?
Nope, she's still standing there.
What is she doing?
I think she's watching the grass grow.
That's our job.
I know, right? She's watching the grass grow, the flowers grow. Ooh, look, the trees are growing.
Can't say as I blame her. Remember where she bought all this stuff.
Duh, bought us there too.
Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Find us online at bloomers.com.
You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 a.m. WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Julio, the sun is going down a little earlier each day. Halloween candy has hit the shelves of the grocery store. People are talking about pumpkin spice.
Yeah.
Do you like pumpkin spice or anything?
Nah.
No? Like
No.
pumpkin spice coffee? It's like, just give me coffee.
No, just, yeah.
I don't need any fancy
Yeah, I don't
stuff.
need that.
But it's got that fall feel.
Yeah.
Back to school ads. Ugh, that's
right.
the worst.
Oof.
That's the worst.
It is.
As a kid, I can remember it. It was the worst. You knew it was coming.
Yeah, it is.
But
It's
the
coming.
good thing is, like, we just got fresh deliveries of plant
yeah.
material, and your local garden center's got mums, and they've got, like, we have on the set today, we have ornamental pepper on our table here while we record, which Julio ate one.
Yeah, it's very good, by the way.
What? Well, very good. Come on, give me more. This is radio.
It's a pepper. It has a nice sweet,
Peppery taste. That's
yeah,
funny.
right, peppery taste. It's sweet. It's a sweet, mild taste. It's not hot or anything.
Not hot.
No.
Okay, because sometimes ornamental peppers are hot. So that means vegetables, fall vegetables are arriving. It's like fall is like a second spring to the gardener.
is.
You know, where you get another shot at growing some of those cole crops, C-O-L-E, coal, like coal, like that's where they get coleslaw from.
Yeah.
That things like cabbage and kale, spinach, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. I've never grown Brussels sprouts. I've always wanted to.
Here it is right here.
And we have a pack of Brussels sprouts on set. And that you can just start a new garden, but there are some things you got to be careful of. Some of your leftover summer vegetable plants may have some diseases in them. They may have some insects in them that if they're depleted, like for instance, if you have, I'm going to throw a fancy term, a determinate variety of tomatoes where it gets a certain size, that it's probably done producing tomatoes by this time, but the plant may still be there. You got to make sure that you're cleaning everything up. You don't want to just replant right in that same spot where the leaves are left and everything else. You want to do a little bit of cleaning. You want to add some bumper crop, right? Bumper crop is a like supercharged compost that has mycorrhiza, which we're not going to explain mycorrhiza this segment. Like all of the things that you would plant now, it's not going to be the soft vegetables like tomatoes, no peppers, no eggplant. You may, You know what you can plant is kohlrabi. Did you grow kohlrabi this year?
No, I didn't.
You didn't, but you grew it last year.
I grew it last year. Yeah.
And you liked kohlrabi.
Oh, yeah, I like it fried.
Fried?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Very good.
All right. See, because we'll have kohlrabi now,
Yeah.
and that you can put
good.
herbs.
Herbs, yeah.
And it reminds me, it's like a lot of like things that you use with soups and like thyme, parsley, chives, rosemary. I can even put mint in, because all these herbs are hardy. That means that they will survive in the winter and come back next year. Yeah. But again, it's a good time to have a restart. And Joe, I hope you're listening, because you should do it.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to plant a lot. All of the lettuces that are available now, like sometimes lettuces, when it gets hot, they just turn, you might as well buy them in the grocery store. But right now, it's perfect time because you can do Boston lettuce. You can do endive. You can do all different types. There's mixes, like, what's that, a mescaline mix?
Mescaline mix, yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
like that not just basic iceberg.
No.
Romaine.
Yeah.
Romaine. Give me a good Caesar salad.
Caesar salad, yeah.
But again, it's time to start that next spring garden now. And again, we're calling it a second spring because it gives you a second time to start a vegetable garden. But you need to turn the soil over. You need to do the same thing that you would do in a spring garden. You need to add a little bit of compost. I would get your soil tested.
Oh, yes, I would.
Check what your pH is, see if you need to add anything. If you're at the point where your summer vegetables are harvested and you've got a lot of room and don't really want to plant anything for the fall or autumn season, consider planting a cover crop. Clover has a way that it pulls nitrogen from the air and it goes into the roots, and when you turn it over, it adds nitrogen back into your soil. So it has nitrogen-fixed bacteria in it, that where it will go and it'll improve your soil. So think about adding a cover crop of red clover most of the time is what you'll see. You can use winter rye, but it also will add that organic matter back in. You'll turn it over sometime in, say, March, April.
Yeah.
Because you do want it to break down a little bit before you start planting your vegetables. But when we tell you about gardening in March, it's the same plant material that we're talking about now.
Yep.
And again, it's all of those great leafy vegetables like lettuces, but also spinach, cauliflower, broccoli. Broccoli sometimes burns when the sun is so bright, and this is a time where you won't have that problem. How about growing Brussels sprouts for your Thanksgiving?
That's right.
No, come on. Brussels sprouts. You don't eat
Come
a
on,
Brussels
Aaron.
sprout by itself. Aaron's making a face. You don't like Brussels sprouts.
Brussels sprouts are terrible.
No, you
no.
split a Brussels sprout, you cover it with bacon,
yes.
you go and you put it in the oven and you get it a little bit crisp on the one side.
Get some fresh
no.
But you just said split it with bacon. Like, no.
Bacon.
If you got to add stuff to it,
It's dressing.
It's dressing.
Yeah. Let me see. What do we add stuff to? Chicken nuggets. Don't give me a plain nugget. You better give me some sweet and sour sauce.
Right. Hey, it's so much so that we actually went and got Chick-fil-A sauce from the grocery store.
Yeah,
So.
I bought a thing of duck sauce yesterday. It was about a gallon.
Yeah.
I'm looking for something. I live alone. I'm looking for a small little thing. I had to buy like this gigantic jar.
Oh, God.
Wait a minute. We're going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, we are.
Speaking of rabbits, that'll be coming up as a new segment about how to get rid of rabbits.
Oh, God.
But that's another show.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, get out there, clean your existing garden up, and start some of the new fall vegetables, and you'll have a great garden. It'll be usually something different that you usually don't plant, because everybody plants tomatoes and peppers.
That's right.
But now try something different. Kale, the superfood.
Oh, yeah. I had it yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah, with soup.
Kale with soup.
Yeah.
Kale soup?
No, it was you add it onto at the end of the your soup. It's
Yeah.
Like a
gives
soup
a little
garnish.
taste. It was a what kind of soup was it? I can't remember.
Kale soup. All right. to avoid dead air, we're going to try to, but cooking with these type of things. And again, it's really nostalgic because a lot of these are old type of vegetables. Yeah. And varieties aren't as important. Like, when we have 1,500 different varieties of tomatoes. Oh, gosh. Like, look, there's like 4 or 5 different good varieties of lettuce. There's really 2 types of kale. Spinach is spinach. We do carry an Indian type of Malabar spinach, but it doesn't look like regular spinach. Broccoli and cauliflower, besides the colors, the weird colors where there's orange. Yeah. There's orange kale and there's purple broccoli. And you can go crazy on those things, but I always wonder, how do you know what's ready? Yeah. It's like, got to time it. I have the same issue. Well, being you guys know out there in radio land that I don't like tomatoes. Yeah. Like a Cherokee purple tomato. When do I know to pick it? I don't know. You're not allowed to help. Right, come on, you eat tomatoes. Once in a while. What you do is you gently but firmly feel the tomato, and if it has a little give, it's good. If it's still hard, you just let it go. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So I knew, but nothing's better than like going out to the garden, grabbing some chives. Oh yes, and making some scrambled eggs, putting a little bit of chives in those eggs. Oh, you can't beat that. It just is like, why don't I do this every day? Because you're lazy. Hey!
Shots fired.
Man.
Jeez, Julio.
It's the truth.
Listen, Zoysia, Zamora. You're sticking those Zoysia grass.
If you wake up a little earlier, you'd be able to do all this.
I could. Anyway.
Only kidding.
Less weed action. If you're turning over your garden, you have a fresh garden. One thing is that you may not have as big an issue dealing with weeds. Oh yeah. Compared to like your summer garden. Mm-hmm. A lot of good
and they
things.
say it tastes in the fall. Things taste a little different.
They do. I had a woman who was a customer that loved collard greens, and that she swore that her collard greens in the fall were a lot better than the ones that she grew in the spring.
How about that?
So again, I encourage you to go out there. It's you don't have to worry about any of these things. You don't have to worry about a frost killing them off or anything like that. There's usually some soft vegetables like basil and some things that can actually produce in a short amount of time, where basil you do need to protect if it's frosting out there, but at least you get fresh plants and that you're not left with, stems, depending on abundanza. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but I know it means good food, something like that. All right, Sam, do you know?
I think it's called abundance.
Do you know any Italian?
We have an ad that runs, and they say, "Besame Mucho" is a song.
Besame Mucho. Wow, Besame Mucho is actually a daylily.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. How about that?
Yeah. Danielle, you know what I'm talking about.
With these names and copyrights and everything else.
Yeah, Besame Mucho is a daylily from Centerton Nursery.
I wonder how much did they have to pay whoever created that song to get that. To get the rights to use that term.
Listen, the artist over there is protecting his copyright. Actually, there's another story behind that Besame Mucho, and you can ask Danielle sometime.
We'll find out.
Anyway, all right. If you've got questions about starting a fall garden, if you're a newbie and a little nervous about doing it or concerned that you don't want to screw up, please call the hotline. Yeah. That's 609-685-1880. Call us, please, because we want to have more people starting fall gardens and excited about fall gardens as they are in the spring, because it actually is a little bit easier.
It is.
All right. We'll be right back right after these messages. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Do you think you have insects eating away your nice, beautiful lawn? Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below is the product for you. Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below not only controls chinch bugs, which is a surface-feeding insect, but also controls grubs, which is a subsurface feeding insect. It does it all, guaranteed. When most homeowners see their lawn turning brown in the summer, they think grubs. Damage from the larva, Japanese beetle. But in many cases, it could be chinch bugs. Chinch bugs are hard to see because they are so small and you'd need to get down on your hands and knees to see them. If you misdiagnose your problem, Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below has you covered. The product will control both chinch bugs and grubs. This summer, control your pest problems with Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below. It also may be used in flower beds, on landscape ornamentals, trees, and shrubs. Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below will also control crane fly larvae, ants, mole crickets, sod webworms, bill bugs, and many more. Your property will be pest-free with Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below. So next time you're visiting your favorite garden center, ask for Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below and expect to have the best-looking lawn and landscape in the neighborhood.
If you're like me, then you absolutely love birds. The Bird Sanctuary at Bloomer's Home and Garden Center has you covered. They're dedicated to the care and feeding of wild birds of all sorts. Want to bring more birds to your yard? Then you got to see this place. Bloomers has a huge flock of feeders, birdhouses, birdseed, and much, much more. Want to feed the birds and not the squirrels? They have this absolutely cool bronze bird feeder that will drive those sneaky squirrels nuts. They'll be moving to the next door neighbor in no time. OMG. Bloomers have these absolutely adorable birdhouses that will turn your yard into the perfect bird B&B. They carry all types of wild bird seed, suet, seed cakes, and mealworms. Bloomer stocks Lyric, Coles, CNS, Pine Tree Farms, and much, much more that will keep those beautiful birds coming back for more. Bloomer's Home and Garden Center is located in Washington Township in Gloucester County. For more information and directions, check them out on the web at bloomers.com. Bloomer's Home and Garden Center, you got to see this place.
You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies 1250 AM WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden.
Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Maureen from Hillside, New Jersey contacted us about a problem she was having with her Zoysia grass. Here's what she wrote us.
I'm Maureen from Hillside. We've spoken before, and I need your help. I have two separate patches of Zoysia grass in my front yard, separated by a walkway. I've never had a problem for over 40 years, but about a month ago, one of the sides started to get brown patches. I thought it may have been from the harsh heat we had this summer and kept watering the grass. Also note that parts of the grass that were not affected were some protected by the afternoon sun by my neighbor's auto. I guess they parked a car there. What I noticed is that the dry patches were just that, patches sporadically across the lawn. First, I thought it might be grubs, so I dug up two 1x1 patches, and it turned out there was nothing there, not even a worm. Might you have an idea what the issue is? It seems to be spreading, and I'd appreciate your help and look forward to hearing from you.
Wow.
All right, Zoysia, man.
Oh, my goodness. Mr. Zoysia, right?
Zoysia.
I was surprised when she said she had a problem. You know?
Well, it's true.
Yeah.
True.
Because they...
So she had patches. You talked to Maureen.
Yeah, I talked to Maureen. Yeah, she has brown patch. And
brown patches of what?
It's a disease. It's a fungal disease.
Mm-hmm.
And she was also watering it, and I had to kind of let her know that she was watering in the evening, which was kind of rough.
But also it tipped me off. Zoysia doesn't need much water.
No, it doesn't.
Zoysia,
and she was watering it, so
Zoysia's very drought tolerant.
Mm-hmm. I didn't do anything to mine. I've never watered mine.
No.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that maybe that exasperated the problem. Overwatering exasperated the issue.
I told her to stop.
So so she has the lawn disease called brown patch.
Yeah.
What did you tell her to do?
Yeah, I told her to use Infuse. It's bonide. It's a systemic, and she would put it on the end of her hose, and
so liquid disease control.
Yes.
Okay.
And to spray that on there and use that as her protectant. Okay.
And then there's also another disease control.
There's another one, yeah.
That f-stop, right? And f-stop is a different way of controlling things. We've talked about how that there's new chemicals. They're looking at control of insects and diseases in new ways by looking for biological agents that can do things. And I'll tell you what, the Fertilome is really on the forefront of that with what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's types of bacillus. Now, don't get it confused with the BT that controls caterpillars, but it's in that same idea and that same concept. So when you talked to her, did she fess up to watering too much, or did she?
Yeah, she realized she's doing that was really harming it more.
A lot of people that have green thumbs understand that watering is the cause of so many issues. And Maureen sounds like she's a good gardener, so she knows what's going on.
Oh yeah, she knows.
But a lot of you out there, that we get plants back, we warranty our nursery stock, and that when we get plants back, you can tell that people saw the plant wilt, so they put more water on it. And then it didn't spring back, so they put more water on it. And what was happening is that they were basically drowning the plant and cutting off any oxygen that gets around the root system. And that's basically what happens to all plants if they're overwatered, that they need to get a little bit dry so that there's still that air circulation around the roots. They can't live in water. They're not a plant that is like a hydroponic plant that you can just, keep them in there. Because what happens, they begin to rot. And there's a disease called Phytophthora, and that gets in the root system. But here, where the brown patch was caused, and a lot of times during the summer, many lawns that have sprinkler systems, they're putting, I'm watering every day, 20 minutes every day. And 20 minutes doesn't do anything other than help disease to grow. More water, less often is the key to raising your plants. And I don't care if it's a house plant or whether it's your lawn. More water at one time and less often. So I'd rather see somebody water twice a week for 45 minutes in a zone than do it every day, 20 minutes a zone. Right. And really plants.
And in the evening, too, they do it sometimes.
Yeah. Mornings are best because you want the surface of the leaf to be dry when it goes to bed at night. Okay? You don't want it to be wet because then that's where disease forms. Anything else? Did you guys talk about anything else?
Yeah, we did, but I'm not going to say anything.
Well, all right.
Well,
Maureen, your secret is safe with the Zoysia man. All right. We'll be back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Your next houseplant is waiting for you in Bloomers Home and Garden Center's greenhouse. Bloomers recognizes that houseplant choices are as important to your interior decorating as the fabric on your couch. The right plant, paired with the perfect container, can bring a dynamic change to your home. A houseplant brings life to your world and connects your home's interior to the greater outdoors. Even a small succulent placed on your coffee table has a way of connecting your living room to the Amazon rainforest. How about an air plant in your kitchen? Looking for an indoor flowering plant to add color to your plant palette? Bloomers has a large revolving assortment of flowering beauties. From aglaonemas to ZZ plants, Bloomers Greenhouse is stocked with your next favorite indoor plant. Bloomers carries a large selection of pottery and containers to match your home's decor and make any of your plants more beautiful. Bloomers experts can help you care for your plants and have the fertilizer, insecticides, leaf shine, and specialty soils you need to grow healthy and happy indoor plants. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center's greenhouse and make every room in your home a living room. Visit bloomers.com for more information. That's bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden.
Dreaming of a gorgeous garden? Give your azaleas, rhododendron, blueberries, and evergreens a powerful boost with the #1 acid-loving plant food, Espoma Organic Hollytone. Hollytone is a perfect blend of natural, long-lasting ingredients that nourish plants for stronger roots, faster growth, and bountiful blooms. Plus, it's easy to use and safe for people, pets, and planet. Visit espoma.com for a retailer near you and helpful gardening tips. Espoma, a natural in the garden since 1929.
You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 a.m. WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Hey, we received a call on the Bloomers in the Garden hotline, and she did the best job, I think, that we ever had of someone giving us a visual over the phone. We're pretty sure she had daylilies, but she has a predatory weed. Here, listen for yourself.
Hello. I'm not a sophisticated gardener. However, I do have a question regarding some lilies I had planted on each side of my stairway outside, and they come back every year faithfully, very pretty. However, on one side, they continue to bloom throughout the spring season. But then on the other side, one predator weed wraps around it tightly, and it does not have leaving the plant without the endurance as the one on the other side. This weed, whatever it is very, very, very predatory on that side of the stairway. So I'd like to know would you know what weed this is and how I can tackle that without killing the plant? As I say, the lilies are beautiful. They bloom nicely every spring, but one side is weaker than the other side. In fact, that weed I mentioned, it's not even on the other side of the stairwell. And it actually shortens the life of the beautiful lilies that come out on that side of the front of the house. Okay, thank you.
Welcome back to Bloomers after that. Predatory weed. But what a great visual, though.
It was.
I mean,
good.
For not being a sophisticated gardener, you
let me
nailed
say
it.
something about that sophisticated gardener.
Go ahead.
She told us that that weed was harming her plants. I mean, and taking nutrients. She understands that. That's pretty sophisticated.
It is. It is. Yeah. Now, first of all, we have to make sure. I'm 99% sure that she has daylilies, not Asiatic lilies or Oriental lilies, because she said that they bloom for a long time. Plus, they bloom in spring. Mm-hmm. So here's my thoughts. Creeping Charlie is a weed that is everywhere. It could be, and we were laughing. I said, I wish I brought some with me, and that I said, like, we're in the studio on the 4th floor in an office building right outside Philadelphia, but this is still considered Philadelphia. That's another story. Anyway, we could walk downstairs and find it.
Sure.
It is an aggressive vining weed, and a lot of people think that it's poison ivy. Now, you know the rule, Julio, of poison ivy. What is it?
Leaves of 3.
Let it be. That's right. Creeping Charlie has leaves of 5. Now, Aaron went and texted me over the weekend and said, what is this? And he had actually a combination of things. He had Creeping Charlie, but there was also a aggressive type of wisteria that was getting in and everything. But I think she has Creeping Charlie. Now, you have to pull out the weed and you have to get it out by the roots, or else it keeps coming back, and it keeps coming back. Now is a time where you can split your daylilies. It's late enough in the summer that you can do that. And it may be easier to get that weed out of those daylilies if you go ahead and split them, right?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, that's how I would do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have to pull up the clump, and you're going to have to divide it. And here are some here's some tips. We've got something here that can help. Dividing daylilies can be done anytime the soil is workable, but it's best done after the daylilies have finished blooming. You can't wait too long, so you've got to have it done so that they can reestablish. So you need 6 weeks before winter starts. Mm-hmm. You got more than 6 weeks. Yeah. So you could do this in late September. You could do it mid-October for that matter, because what you want is the root system to reestablish. So like I said, dig up the clump. And then you need to get the soil off, because they are really coming from the root system, like a bulb almost, needs to be divided into what they call fans. Now let me go back about removing the soil. Depending on the size of the clump, a bucket of water where you just kind of work them like a mop up and down.
Right.
Get that soil off. Okay. And then the crown of the plant is right where it comes up into the soil, where the roots, the top of the plant meets the roots of the plant. That's called the crown. And that you want to start from the outer edge and break it into smaller clumps. Usually you want 3 fans, 4 fans per clump, and fans you'll see when you actually get all the soil off that like Julio's holding up his fingers, his hands straight up with his fingers straight up, and it literally looks like that. It looks like the kind of, like a palm fan almost, when you think about it. In any case, so each clump should have white healthy roots and a few leaves, because you can cut the leaves back about a third even before you get started. So generally the leaves then will be only about 5 to 6 inches tall. And then you're going to replant it. You're going to make sure you get that Creeping Charlie out of there and get that weed out of there so that it doesn't come back. And actually splitting the plant every, 5 to 10 years, when it slows down in its productions of flowers, that's when you're going to split, when you're going to split your plant. And we always say that you're going to share them with friends or family, but the key is please plant them for them. Mm-hmm. So if you go to a friend's house to visit, don't just, here, look what I have. I have a clump of work for you to do. Plant them in their yard so that every time they see them blooming, they'll be thinking about you. And they'll know that those were from you, and that it's important to do that, because I think that plants are a great gift for somebody, and they bring a lot into people's lives. Wouldn't you agree, Julio?
Oh, yes, it always does.
I gave Julio Franklin a tree.
Yes.
I didn't plant it, though.
No, he never came over.
I came over. I've seen your Franklin tree.
Yeah, you have.
But no, so that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
long time ago. Franklinia tree is a rarity.
It is, right?
But it has a white flower with
just flowering
a
now,
yellow,
by the way.
Yellow-orange center, almost, it's very, very pretty. Big flower.
Big flower, yeah.
And again, that's Bartram Gardens named it for Benjamin Franklin. Okay. So, daylilies. Split them. Okay. You don't have to go aggressive to try to get the most out of it. Even if you just split them in half, that will do something. So if you're concerned that you're taking too much apart, take it easy. Don't do it. Just go ahead and split them and divide them into 2 clumps rather than 1, and replant them and get started and either transplant that clump someplace else in your yard or give it as a present to a friend or family member. Anything to add, Holm?
No, the sophisticated lady, she did well.
She did very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is not something that's really hard.
No.
It's not something, it's just something, a little bit of maintenance that it will get rid of that weed, but it also, I do both sides because my guess is they were planted at the same time. My guess is that because we've tried to get a hold of her, but she wasn't answering. So the key is that it's going to be more floriferous. Say that 10 times fast. Anyway, it means more flowers.
Right.
You're going to get more flowers next year after you do this.
Wonderful.
All right. Good, Julio?
Beautiful.
All right. We'll be back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Some of our most frequent questions revolve around organic container gardening for houseplants, annuals, and of course, vegetables. Coast of Maine's Bar Harbor Blend Organic Potting Soil is a lightweight soil mixture made with salmon, blueberry, lobster, and other composts, as well as calcium and chitin-rich lobster shells, sphagnum peat, perlite, and kelp meal. It is a great soil. And Coast of Maine's Bar Harbor Organic Potting Soil is rich in organic material, creating lush, disease-resistant plants that require less watering, less feeding. Its rich, dark brown color provides the perfect balance between water retention and drainage needed for healthy plants. Coast of Maine's Bar Harbor Blend Organic Potting Soil is available at these local retailers.
Sickles Market, Little River, New Jersey. Espen Shades Garden Centers and Greenhouse, Fleetwood, Pennsylvania. Pickering Valley Feed and Farm, Exton, Pennsylvania.
Wanting to up your game in the vegetable garden? With 90 years of organic gardening experience, the Espoma Company has you covered. Espoma Organic Garden Tone is not your average garden variety fertilizer. Garden Tone is especially blended for organic vegetable gardens. Its all-natural formula contains Biotone, a blend of organic ingredients that supplies essential nutrients for strong, healthy plants and mouth-watering vegetables. Its slow-release formula provides continuous feeding. The Biotone contained in Garden Tone is a combination of organic ingredients and beneficial microbes to help roots grow deeper and faster for bigger, more bountiful harvests. Garden Tone is simple to use and safe for people, pets, and the planet. No harmful chemicals or synthetic fertilizers are ever added. You can find Garden Tone at fine garden centers. Visit espoma.com to find a retailer near you. Garden Tone from Espoma, a natural in the garden since 1929. You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB, and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 a.m. WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden.
Now it's time for What's Buggin' You?
Finally, I'm a beautiful butterfly.
Sam, our producer, took care of that for us. Thank you, Sam.
No problem. Too much time on my hands.
We have our own now segment for What's Bugging You. In the introduction to the show, I talked about I had an insect. I was worried it was a bee just smash into me in the chest. And it was a damn adult spotted lanternfly. I was hoping they weren't back, but I was hoping they weren't in my own yard.
Yeah, what are they doing?
But
there?
I've got that tree of heaven. My neighbors have it where it's growing wild in the border of the properties. And Tree of Heaven is their basically choice place to feed, lay eggs, do things. But what that means, is it's time. It's time to start spraying, and it's time to start putting bands around your tree. And the bands we're talking about are like a sticky band. Back in the day, there was something that was that we would do this like all the time, and it was because there was gypsy moth. Gypsy moth were killing all the trees. I can remember seeing news reports like where you would pull and go up right before you'd get to the Poconos, and all the trees were like, they had no foliage on them.
None.
Like instead of turning, oh, look how pretty they're red and yellow, and they would basically just all the leaves were off from the gypsy moth. Now, we control that by banding our trees, because the way that they would go up, they would get stuck to the banding, and something would be put on it called tanglefoot. And that the same thing, we have to do it again. We have to do it for the spotted lanternfly. They are a menace. And that there are certain, like I got some information from it's Penn State University, and that they were talking about how it has really been tearing grapes up. Grapes have all of a sudden now, and this is a new insect. This is not something that's been around, and all of a sudden, for some reason, it has, mass things. And it's not climate change. All right. It happened. It hitched a ride from China on a pallet of stone into, I guess it would be southeastern Pennsylvania. And it has spread from there, and now it is in New England, and it is in the Midwest, and it's Julio's.
It's all over.
It's all over. I'm sorry, you raised your hands. I thought I thought you had an epiphany of something. On YouTube, you'll see what I'm talking about. Right. Make sure you visit our YouTube and subscribe to that YouTube channel. That's right. And that it's just bad. And that what happens with it not only feeds on agricultural crops, but it has honeydew. And I love making Julio explain what honeydew is.
You're right. Honeydew is the excrement from the actual insect that leaves behind this sooty mold. Ugh.
What's excrement?
Excrement is excrete. To excrete, it's throwing something out of
Come
the
on,
system.
say it, Julio. It's
poop.
There you go.
There you go.
It's insect crap. Okay, and that what happens is that they go and feed, and they dump all over your patio furniture and like the siding of your house. It is awful. It is awful, and that they mass, and so it's just like it's like a horror movie. It's like an invasion of the spotted lanternfly. And it's like we have some video from our old studios that we're at, and they were it was like parting of the sea when you would walk by. And that these guys do not fly. They are leaf hoppers. We did a little segment not too long ago about leaf hoppers, and that where you need to spray them to kill them, but banding of your trees will stop them from reproducing. Because what they'll do is they'll go from the ground, and then they'll go up the trunk of a tree. They'll go up your siding. They'll go up. It'll be like the posts. Like say you have like a 4x4 or a 6x6 post that's holding a deck up or something like that, and they lay their eggs, and it looks like somebody threw mud on the side of the building, but those are egg masses. You need to control them now before they get to that phase. And if you see the spotted lanternfly, and that, just go on Google and just, if you do spotted lanternfly, Penn State, they're on the front lines of this invasion of the spotted lanternfly. But you need to start controlling things. You need to be proactive. And being that there are adults already, I'm surprised they're here, but I guess not. I mean, we are in almost the middle of August. So get ready, because from now, and they just get bigger. Like the one that I got was probably about an inch long, and they have that
pretty.
Yeah. What?
They have the wings.
The wings,
dotted, they're like
the dotted wings
dotted
that we were talking about, like lingerie looking.
Like lingerie,
yeah, where then they open their wings, they have that little that red patch underneath there.
Oh, yeah.
The best thing to control them with is going to be a pyrethroid. We talk about on the radio show, those of you that listen, thrins. Thrins are what you want to spray them with. And again, it's going to be a pyrethroid, which would be anything like bifenthrin, solutrin. All of those things are a basic copy of organic pesticide, and it works very well. It has a good residual. That old 7 or Malathion, both of those will work too. But they, again, it's if you can find them, because a lot of that has been taken off of this and replaced by the thrins. So if you have questions about the spotted lanternfly, I want to make sure that you call the hotline, okay? Call the hotline, and if you see them or you have them, I want you to contact Penn State, because they keep track of where the migration is for them. So please do that. Again, questions, call the hotline, 609-685-1880. We want to hear what you're seeing out there. We'll be right back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden.
Is she gone?
Nope, she's still standing there.
What is she doing?
I think she's watching the grass grow.
That's our job.
I know, right? She's watching the grass grow, the flowers grow. Ooh, look, the trees are growing.
Can't say as I blame her. Remember where she bought all this stuff?
Duh, bought us there too.
Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Find us online at bloomers.com.
Bloomers in the Garden is brought to you each week by Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Bloomers is an award-winning garden center just 20 minutes from Philadelphia. Bloomers has been providing expert advice turning brown thumbs green for over 30 years. At Bloomers, we want you to ask us every question, even if you think it's silly. We share information in a friendly, non-judgmental way that is meant to teach and spread the joy of gardening. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center in Washington Township, Gloucester County. For directions, go to bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden.
You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider, or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB, and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 a.m. WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden.
See me and Julio down by
Me and Julio.
I'll tell you.
Well, a lot to learn today.
It is, yeah.
You know what time it is, Julio?
No, what time is it?
It's sponsorship renewal time.
Oh, my goodness.
Hey, if you'd like to be a sponsor and hear your message on Bloomers in the Garden, where we reached, actually, I guess, a population of 12 million people, let us know. Call us on the hotline at 609-685-1880, and that we are bringing on new sponsors. So if you're interested and want your message told to all of the gardeners out there, we're here for you. Julio, we got a lot. Spotted lanternfly is my biggest concern. People getting out there, getting their gardens going for the fall.
Yes, get
I'd like
ready.
to see that. I'd like to see that
already. Yep. If you visit your local garden center, tell them you listen to Bloomers in the Garden. And you can see us every time. You can see us online too when you go to bloomers.com, because we're on there too, right?
Yeah, YouTube. You can go do a search for YouTube.
Yep, we'll be on there too, and your favorite podcast platform. You can hear us there too.
Just do a search for Bloomers in the Garden.
That's it.
We'll be right here next week at the same time in the garden. See you in the garden.